If you're new to shooting and you're going to go to a range, whether it be a public range or let's say it's a property you have access to that'll allow you to shoot at a safe place, but it's still somewhere you have to travel to, well, you may want to take a range bag with you. And I'm going to show you some of the things I put in my range bag because I have to travel sometimes not too far and sometimes a decent distance, maybe an hour to go. And when I get there, realize, oh, I didn't bring what I needed. My shooting activity is going to be reduced or it's going to be completely stopped because I don't have what I need. So I'm going to show you a few of the things that I carry. This is set up more for rifle shooting. You know, most of the time when you see folks that are doing more pistol shooting, they'll have a much smaller bag. And the bulk of this bag comes in because I like to use a spotting scope. So that takes up some internal area with the spotting scope. But I'll go over some of the main items that I put in here when I go shooting, just to make sure when I get out to the range, I can continue to shoot if I have a minor situation that needs some attention with some kind of a tool. All right, let's check it out and see what's in it. One of the first things I'm always going to have in my range bag is some kind of ear protection and eye protection. Another thing that I like to carry are these chamber flags. If you're going to a public range, it's always good to have these. I actually like to have one if I'm carrying a rifle in a gun case. I already have the bolt back. This is inserted. So as soon as I lay my gun case up on the shooting table and open it up, everyone can see that I have a chamber flag and the rifle knows that the rifle's safe. If you've never been to the range, it'll help indicate to anyone around you and the range officer that you are observing safety and you're just safety conscious. So having some chamber flags is always a good idea to keep a few extra of those with you. I always keep some targets with me. I've got just some regular, just paper targets to shoot at. And then I've got some shoot and see targets. And I really like these because it just kind of shows you your progress a little bit easier visually. And if you're not using something like a spotting scope and you're using just a pair of binoculars, depending on the distance you're at, but I mean, if you're at 100 yards and you're using 10 power binoculars, you're going to be able to see your results pretty easily on these shoot and see targets. One of the next things I like to carry is a spotting scope and a set of tripod legs. You can definitely use the optic on your rifle to look through it, but sometimes that gets old when you're really trying to see what you're doing. If this was my shooting bench and my rifle's facing like this, I would have this sitting here right beside my leg, and I would have the optic on it like this. So after I shoot, I can simply just look over and see downrange and see what I've done. Another thing that I like to carry is a simple cleaning kit like this. One, it is a cleaning kit. It's got basically all the general calibers that you would need to clean your rifle. And two, and this literally happened to me one time, and I didn't have a kit like this, and I had to pack the whole show up and go home. And I had a jam inside the chamber. And I could tell it wasn't horrible, but I didn't have anything with me to get it out. I mean, it was just stuck. So had I had, you know, a cleaning rod and could have attached a couple of these together end to end, went down the board, just gave it a poke and tapped it out, I'd have been right back in business. So what would have amounted to a 5-minute delay with this turned into a pack it up and go home situation because I didn't have this. And then one of the last things I always like to have is a screwdriver set like this. This is an inexpensive one by Winchester, but it's got your slot head screws, your Phillips head screws, some Allen type screws, some Torx bits, and a few other bits in here. Another thing that I like to put in the range bag are these bore snakes. These are just some cheap knockoffs, but they're so cheap, you can get them on eBay for probably around $2 a piece. Just pull this through your barrel once or twice and you've got a pretty clean bore at that point. So if you put your rifle up and you forget to do something or get sidetracked and it's 3 or 4 days later, the next weekend, whatever it may be, until you're going to do a proper cleaning, but at least you've done something to help the bore in the meantime before you do a proper cleaning. This is one of these all-in-one type cleaning oil where clean, anti-corrosive, lubricate, protects, the whole gambit. In addition to your spotting scope, it's always nice to have a handy little rangefinder like this. This one goes out to 1,000 yards. You know, maybe you're sitting on a card table and you put up some targets downrange, you know, you're going to want something like this to check it. Also in your range bag, it's not a bad idea to have some kind of a rest. Sometimes when you go to a public range, sometimes they'll have something, sometimes maybe not. And if you're definitely out somewhere private where maybe you're shooting off the back end of your pickup truck tailgate or whatever you got. This could be a nice rest to have, however you want to orient it. But you can see it gives you some options just so you have something for some extra stability. And there's obviously different versions of these. Okay, well that's what I like to have in my range bag. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.